Olivia is the mother of a teenage boy who refused to go to school. Stacy rarely communicated with her son without shouting. Vince described his household with two young boys as nothing less than chaotic. But that was before they all encountered Samara, the Center for Individual and Family Growth, an initiative that goes beyond mere parenting education and confronts the root cause of the problem.
They need to learn it on their own. You can't tell them. They need to talk and discover what works for them. And we provide a lot of things, more than they can ever use. Hopefully then they can find what they are.
Samara training is based around 8-week guided discussion sessions of parents who are here to improve their family life. Some of them come on their own, others are court mandated. But what they find is an environment of emotional safety and warmth that provides new, sometimes unfamiliar ideas about parenting, which leads them to relate to their children differently.
He told me that kids ain't bad, it's their behavior that's bad. And that's something that I didn't learn. So now I can look at my kids and be like, nah, my kids ain't bad. You know what I mean? God don't create bad things.
What participants like Olivia, Stacy, and Vince discovered during their classes in the Samara program is that their parenting habits were developed early in their own childhoods.
You realize like most stuff you learned was learned behavior from your parents or whatever, and you learn different techniques, I guess you would say. They give you different tools to use, and you can use them, in your toolbox and stuff.
They're often reflecting on their own childhood, and they're starting to understand what they didn't get. A lot of them begin to grieve. We see a lot of tears. We do a lot of listening. The group itself is incredibly supportive of each other. And then after they do that initial time, then they start focusing on their children and what they need to do to create a different outcome. And they work very hard at it.
As a former child protective service worker and family-based therapist, Pam has seen the causes of the breakdown of the family structure and uses storytelling and the arts, along with careful study, to create a climate where parents recognize what it is that determines their parenting style.
We create an environment of safety and trust where they can then let their defenses down and start to take in new information about themselves, their family, about parenting. And they start to look at their children differently, and they start to look at themselves differently, and most of all, they start to have hope that things can be different.
When you create an environment in which these young parents feel safe, they feel like they're not going to be criticized, that their responsibility for their children is honored, and you begin to get them to talk about and think through different ways of parenting, things change.
They certainly changed for Stacy, who discovered how important relationships are with children.
We have more bonding time now. Before I didn't spend any time with them. And I've learned that that's one thing you need to do with your children, is spend time with them. So we do a lot more things together as a family now. And I've actually had people tell me they can tell I took the class and it benefited me because I've made a lot of changes too.
Dylan, her son, noticed the changes and says they're for the better.
We used to yell at each other. I used to be bad at school. And now everything's good and I'm getting a little bit good grades.
For Vince, the Samara classes provided the support he needed to focus on his two boys.
That support right there, that gives you a little bit of motivation when you feel as though you're alone and you can't get out. You know what I mean? Being around positive people helps, because in any rehab and anything you go through in life, you need that support. And I can't stress that enough. Whether you're a single parent or whether you're a couple, you need support.
Samara's focus is actually two-pronged. In addition to classes for parents, there are very intentional activities for children, like hiking, or baking, or painting.
The point of the children's program is to help them develop their imagination and feel safe and to feel respected. A lot of times what's being looked at as being some sort of a deficiency in the child is actually them not feeling safe. And something that happens to kids who are in a stressful environment is chemicals flood their brain, and those chemicals help create in them hypervigilance. And a lot of times when they get to school then, they become very disruptive because they can't relax, they can't pay attention, they can't focus. And so we're trying to give them these experiences to relax and play, and we're also giving them relationships with adults who are safe and respectful of them.
That environment, along with new information learned by their parents, almost always leads to improved behavior.
He was truant from school for a while. He's been going to school now. He got accepted to Votech. He now answers my phone calls, which he never did, and his attitude changed. Sometimes he asks me, how am I doing, when I get home? And he's handing out hugs more often. It's improved. We're working for much better. It's improved. It's improved. Yeah, it's a whole lot better than what it was before.
It's all about creating new understandings of how to relate to each other as parents, as a family, of creating new, healthier ways to raise children, of seeing oneself and others as having value.
We meet twice a week for 3.5 hours for 8 weeks. And that's a small bit of time. It's a lot compared to most programs, but in that 16 sessions, it's amazing what can happen.
Samara needs financial support, prayer support, and volunteers to keep making the kind of changes in the lives of people like Vince, Stacy, and Olivia that have given them renewed confidence, not only in themselves, but also in their children.
I love Samara. I think I'll be a lifer. I need something like repetition, because you don't just learn it the first time. You have to keep on going through. I still don't have it all learned, you know what I mean? I have to keep on going through, okay, then let's do this. You learn something every time you go there. It's not the same thing. You have different people in the class, you learn different things.
If we take the long view and we can help a group of parents become more effective parents, keep their kids from going down the wrong track, and really begin to enjoy parenting, we change life course and the life course of families. I think it makes our community stronger. It creates a place in the community for these young families to grow and thrive. And so, I think it's a tremendous building block for some of the tough stuff that goes on in this community.